Welcome back to our getaway through Ireland. And in this episode, we discover the story behind a church in which sadly saw a huge number of people die. Stu gets pastry overload. We take a look at a wreck rusting away by the side of a road. We visit an abbey. And Stu ticks one location off his island bucket list. But is everything okay? Stu finally loses the plot.
Where's the pasta?
But he takes comfort in a bit of relaxation. Welcome to Getaway Geese. We are Stu and Jane, and with Harry, our Ford custom auto camper, we share our adventures. So join us in this Our Rough Guide series to campervanning in Ireland. And we're on the move again after the two great parkups we showed you in the previous episode at Ballyhealy and Cullenstown.
So we're on day 5 now. We came into Rosslare Harbour. We've literally spent. We're actually here. So we've gone that far on the map. We've got to go all the way down here
Just to start.
Kinsale to start the Western Way. So we've hardly moved for the first few days. So I think the plan is we go somewhere, Tintern Abbey and this wreck somewhere here. Hook Lighthouse, we may overnight, depend on how busy it is there.
So how long did you give us to get to the Atlantic Way?
To here, I said we'd do this in the first week, so we're a week behind.
Okay.
But that's because we haven't been well.
No.
So.
But also it's been too beautiful and we don't want to move on.
So, yeah. You don't have to go far to find a beautiful place.
Yeah.
So there's a good chance once we start the Western Way, which goes up here and goes all the way on the other side of the map.
Oh, hold on.
And on the other side of the map, I don't know how far we're going to get in 10 weeks.
Whoa. Bumpy road.
I think every road's a bumpy road by the looks of it.
There was a lot of motorhomes on the ferry, but this is the only second one I think we've seen in 4 days, isn't it? Like we saw a lot on the ferry.
Oh yes, yeah, we haven't travelled far then.
No, that's true. We've literally not travelled very far.
No, we've probably travelled about 20 miles. The problem is now we don't know if Harry's taken us down the route that we should really be going down, or whether this is just the main road and that we just don't know.
Stu, as a self-appointed tour guide, plots a route to the photo opportunity of the day a few miles away. Now, as you know, Stu often sends Tom the drone up to see what's around Harry. And whilst we knew of this church's existence, the footage made us want to go and take a closer look, and we recover some shocking facts. This church is dedicated and named after St Mary, and it was built in the 13th century. And it's apparently the only surviving building of the medieval town of Bannow. The Norman conquest of Ireland very much focused on the seizure of land and the building of towns, to enable the export of Irish agricultural wealth. Bannow grew and thrived on the trade between Ireland, Britain and mainland Europe. But by the 14th century, Bannow's purpose as this trading centre started to decline. But unfortunately, in 1348, the Black Death arrived in Ireland. And port towns like Bannow became natural areas where the plague arrived. And it's thought that in the first year it claimed as much as 50% of the people's lives in the town. And it's unbelievable if you just imagine for a minute every other person where you live not being there. The town simply never recovered, and finally by the 17th century it was abandoned and left to decay. St Mary's is all that's left of the original town, and it's interesting how the graves occur inside the derelict church. And it makes you wonder if you had to pay more to rest there, or if you had to be of a certain stature in the community. The graveyard looks well kept and obviously still used today. And apparently various services throughout the year still occur here, giving it a sense of purpose. Stu moves the day trip on, and we now need to top up on some provisions, so we head to Wellington Bridge. I'm just going into this supermarket called SuperValue, and it's a autistic friendly supermarket, and it has slots in the week that's autism friendly, which I think is brilliant. I'm taking way longer than I should do, as this SuperValue store is really impressing me. It's so well laid out, and the fresh pastries and cake section just slow me right down. She's going to kill me because I've just been so long in there looking at all the cakes and just looking. But I brought in one back to try and make up for it. Sorry it was so long. What? It was the cakes. Honestly, everything's laid out so lovely.
Yeah. Look a big shelf.
I bought you a cake.
Hey.
Well, it's not a cake.
Well, it's a Portuguese tart, no?
It's an autistic friendly supermarket.
Autistic friendly?
Yeah, so the girl was saying they have a couple of slots, I think maybe 1 or 2 a week, where they, for a couple of hours, they turn all the noises down or off.
Oh, wow.
So it's really quiet. That is literally the best. I've just had a piece of Stu's Portuguese tart, and it's just...
I can get another 2.
Stu's just making noises.
I'll get another 2.
No. Do you want me to go and get you another one?
You had half mine.
No, I had a tiny mouthful. I'll go and get you one more. Oh no!
Oh, well,
no.
you have that. You have that.
I don't want it.
You do.
I'm trying to lose pretty weight. I'm going to get you another
That's
one.
the best one.
So I'm going in for round 2 of the Portuguese tart. So here we have offering 2. Don't say I never treat you. We've seen a few of these Revolution laundries as we've started to drive around Ireland, and we notice another big yellow general waste facility here too in the background, and we know at some stage a full wash and dry day will be needed. So we check out what's on offer and how it works. Stu, who's now fed with 2 Portuguese tarts, calls time, and we're back on board Harry the tour bus as we set off the short distance to another photo stop. PortLairge is a wreck right by the side of the road, and it's been the subject of many online photos as it's in a great setting for a photo shoot. And that's exactly what we do ourselves. And with its rusting appearance exposing the skeleton of the hull, you can easily see why. The boat was built around 1907 in Dublin Dockyard, and it served as a steam dredger in the Waterford area. It was grounded and abandoned in the 1980s, and it's gradually eroded away to the natural elements. We find a spot to open up the doors and have some lunch, while Stu sharpens up his bird watching skills.
So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there, and then there's another one over there, 6. It's a grey, but there's a white one there. That grey heron, and I think the one on the left might be a snowy heron or egret.
Is there such a thing as a white heron? We're getting confused about our herons.
The little egret, the snowy white heron.
It is. That's what it was, yeah. All sorts of bird species are in the shallow estuary.
There's a meeting going on.
A flotilla of canoeists, complete with a safety boat, passes by. And we're off to a heritage location, but first we're stopping to get rid of some recycling. But we fail, as there doesn't appear a place for hard plastics, and this is something that will plague us right through the trip. Newspaper, cardboard. Tintern Abbey is our next location, and despite initially getting the wrong car park, we soon find the right road leading to this historic location. Tintern is a really well preserved abbey set in some scenic grounds, and if you like your walking you won't be disappointed.
It was €9 each for the Tintern Abbey and the wall garden that we're going to walk up to.
Tintern Abbey is a partially restored building and was originally built around 1200 by the Earl of Pembroke. And like many buildings, it's gone through a lot of changes throughout the years. And in the 16th century it came to the Colclough family, and parts were converted to a family house. Conservation also included protecting a local colony of bats. Using the plans that were found at the Abbey, this model is a good representation of how the Abbey would have looked. So this strange artefact depicts the head of a local John Henry Colclough, who fought for the United Ireland. After he coordinated an attack at a nearby location, he was hunted down, caught and beheaded, and his head was then thrown into the River Slaney. All a bit grisly. The Abbey is set in a special area of conservation, so there are many walks in the woodland to take, including the walled garden. And although we think it's maybe past its best as it's really late in the season. It looks like the produce grown will be sold and used locally maybe. We notice they have many apple tree varieties, and they're obviously preserving the old apple species, which we thought was a great thing to be doing. Our final destination for the day is our target parkup for the night, which is only 10 miles away, and we're going to stay at the iconic Hook Lighthouse, which is on Stu's bucket list for Ireland. It's a weekend, and although we're out of season, we can see it's a really popular destination for day trippers, and also, I'm sure, for those staying overnight like ourselves. The road to the lighthouse has a couple of park-up areas, but we drive on and we manage to park right by the lighthouse. Hook Lighthouse was built over 850 years ago. And it's not only one of the oldest lighthouses in the world, but according to its website, it's also the oldest lighthouse in the world that's still operating today. Now, I'm not 100% sure that's correct, as there's also a lighthouse in Spain called the Tower of Hercules that appears to be older and is still in operation. The walls are up to 4 metres thick in places, and amazingly, it still retains most of its medieval fabric. So if it's not the oldest, it's certainly the second. It was converted to electric operation in 1972, and it's been fully automated since 1996. And it first opened to the public as a tourist attraction in 2001. We were surprised to see divers at the lighthouse, and we wondered at first if it was some archaeological activity going on.
So just speaking to the person who's there for really, I guess, from a health and safety, so she's checking them in and out.
Hello. Thank you.
They give a maximum dive time, so if they don't come back after that maximum dive time, then they call the Coast Guard out immediately. That's the rules of their club. So it's just like I think it's the club, diving club that they belong to. And there's a little channel there, and there's a tunnel that goes out, so it's easy access into the water, but then they go out into the bay. They're just purely social diving at the moment. Apparently there's lots of dogfish out there and crabs out there at the moment, so it's good for fish at the moment that's out there. I have seen a few dolphins in the bay across here. but they say they dive for about maximum of 30 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes, but they have to give a maximum dive time before they actually enter the water. That's the rules of their club. Obviously, some people just do it privately, I guess, and they know what they're doing. So it looks like quite a safe way of getting in the water in through that channel, in through the tunnel that's underneath. So the strata of the rock here is it's fantastic. As you can see, it's obviously, I guess, millions of years ago how this area was formed with layers and layers of I guess lava. It's quite calm today, but apparently the diver was saying that it can get really rough around here, obviously, and dangerous. So you can hear the sound of the waves coming right under the rocks here. I can't see it.
It looks like we have someone staying in a tent next to us tonight, and all we can say is rather them than us.
So tonight's tea is going to be a pasta dish. So we've got some chicken thighs chopped up. We'll put some Italian herbs on there and chili flakes. We've got a couple of types of pepper, yellow and green. We've got some mushrooms, basically what we got in the fridge basically, and a cucumber and celery for a bit of crunch. And then we're going to try this the supermarket that we're actually quite impressed with, the SuperValue in Ireland. We've had some really nice food from them. We're going to try their fresh pasta tonight, tagliatelle, and with some I've got a sauce, a stir-in sauce that we'll use.
And we decide to have our pasta on the rocks in our chairs.
Well, that's our restaurant for the night, for the night's tea. Tagliatelle, roasted pepper sauce and various bits.
However, I soon become aware of tissues strewn across the rocks from visitors, and it's really bugging me. And I can't just sit there and watch it. So fetching my rubber gloves, I have 10 minutes picking up what I can.
Yuck. Oh, you get a bit of
that one.
I'll put it in the boot.
Come on, people.
Well done.
So while Stu's popped out, I thought I'd just have a quick word at why Stu does all the cooking. And the reason is that I'm a messy cook, and what you don't need in a van is a messy cook. So I can cook, I do all the cooking at home, but in the van we need organisation, so I just sit and chop what I'm told to chop by head chef basically. So that's why Stu does all the cooking. I do the washing, I promise I do. In the evening, Stu tries his hand at fishing, although I'm not sure it's the best thing for his back, and I'm fairly sure those legs are bound to scare any fish off anyway. But it's good to see him enjoy his moment of solitude as a beautiful red sky builds up in the background. The sunset was amazing, and it was the end of a perfect day. The following morning comes and we might be in for yet another bright sunny day. And we're greeted with a cycle race out the back of Harry, and they seem to be using the lighthouse as a checkpoint.
We're just having a second chilled day out at Hook Lighthouse. Had a slow morning, a nice cooked breakfast. Just doing a bit of fishing. Whether we'll stay tonight, I don't know.
Stu tries another session of throwing a line in the sea and catching nothing. Although I'm a bit worried about the tide catching him out, so I keep a close eye on him. And as you can see, the modelling sponsorship deal came through from Gnome Weekly. Unfortunately, all I can see when I'm looking at Stu right now is those gnomes that you used to see years ago sitting in a garden with a fishing rod. And it's time for some lunch. But on our way back to Harry, we observe more signs of pressure at this location, with areas where cars and vans could park have now been blocked off with large rocks to reduce the capacity to stay. It looks like at least 20 to 30 vehicle slots maybe have been removed. Stu had read that there's been challenges at peak times with around too many people staying and also abusing the area, which is a real shame. And this relates to a conversation I had with a lady last night who was whale watching, and she said that in high season the location is chock-a-block, with day visitors and people in tents, vans and caravans. We see several scorched earth rings scarring the ground, and we wonder if this location will eventually ban overnight stays due to those people that don't show any respect. But only time will tell, I guess.
See, that's what annoys me. Now that was people who were camped out in a tent last night.
And having watched a YouTube video of Hook Lighthouse in summer with all the motorhomes and campervans, I'm really glad that we've come in this season.
And for lunch I'm going to have a Rudge Monkey Toasty, cheese, ham and tomato. Very tasty too.
The lighthouse has many visitors today at the calf and play area. And Stu needs to lie down after lunch as I suspected the fishing exploits have affected his back.
I'm just relaxing, my back's hurting. Well, that's my excuse. Jane's outside, sitting in the sun. It's one thing in Harry, like most camper vans, you can just put the bed down during the day and relax. You've also got a great view. So the Irish Rummy Cup Championship has just kicked off at Hook.
I'm starting to take an impressive commanding lead in the series, but there's a long way to go.
Where's the pasta?
I don't know. It was on the table. What are you checking your pockets for? You haven't put it under the sink. I don't know.
Well, can you find it? Because I need to put it in.
Oh no, I'd rather film you losing it.
You sat on it?
No, my head sat on
Can you
it.
stand up?
Is it in the bin? Check in the bin. Stu, I haven't stood up. I've been preparing.
No. You did stand up because of your phone. Just stand up a minute. Stand up. Stand up.
You
Stand
make it
up.
sound like I've hidden it. I don't know. How can you lose pasta? It's not in the pan, is it?
I need it now, though. It needs to be in the bloody pan.
I didn't.
So tonight's tea, similar to yesterday, we're just using the fresh pasta, tagliatelle pasta, and then we're doing chicken and a mascarpone sauce.
Well, we're going to leave it there for this video, with us having ticked the box on such an iconic location. But I've got to say, it's also leaving us concerned for its future. So thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video then help us grow the channel by subscribing, liking and commenting. And we'll hopefully see you in the next episode of Our Travels in Harry.